Praise be to the flawless, all-pervasive illumination of the great mudra, or seal of the Buddha. Turn over to me the jewel, lotus, and radiant light. The deceased may be in hell, in the realm of hungry ghosts, of angry gods, or of beasts. However, they will attain the body of light according to the needs of time and circumstance by the means of the mystic power of the sand, of the divine power of the mantra of light. The karmic retribution of their sins will be eliminated. They will discard their suffering bodies, and they will go to the western land of bliss, the pure land of Amida. They will be reborn in the lotus blossom of Amida, and will not fall back until they attain Bodhi, awakening. That, my friends, was a little section of the Sutra of the Mantra of Light, and of course the Mantra of Light itself. This is the prayer that is used from Shingon Buddhism in the Mirror of the World. And it's pretty amazing that they use this. So basically, we should talk about Myoe. Because Kukai was the guy who basically started Shingon Buddhism in Japan. But Myoe was the guy who really, really purported it in the time, much later, when he thought that that Buddhism in Japan was degenerating in the final stage of what he referred to as Mapo. Myoe had no spiritual teacher like Baiken. He also, like Baiken, liked women. He thought they were very important to his spiritual path, which we'll talk about later. The mantra of light is for someone to let go of their sins to go eventually into the Pure Land, which is basically heaven, but it's a separate world where you'll be reborn. So, that's it for now. We'll talk about this more when we get to the actual song. But this has been David Leibowitz with Philosophy of Video Game Philosophy, and I hope you allow me to welcome you on this journey. Now that we know what the mantra of light is, it's time to understand Baiken herself. As I said on the last video with May, Japan in Guilty Gear is dead. Baiken, her family, and her friends had to flee Japan to go to one of the colonies in the aftermath of the destruction. But oh no, it wasn't over yet. Baiken saw her family and friends get killed by gears, and you know that's gonna put a lot of trauma on a person. So she swore to kill the one person responsible for this, that man, or Asuka Arcroix. After defeating Unno in a duel, she got exactly her wish. She fought but wasn't even able to harm him at all. That man during that duel was also pretty remorseful on his actions to Japan as well. We also have to take into account her relationship with Anji Mito, another surviving Japanese. Anji, every step of the way, tells her to not go after that man, and she keeps on not listening, until finally in Guilty Gear Strive, she learns to have some sort of love and adopts Delilah. We'll save the rest of that for later. But if you want a badass Guilty Gear samurai, you know who to call. Baiken. Hello everyone, this is David Leibowitz with Philosophy of Video Game Philosophy, and I got a special one for you. As you've already seen, this episode is quite the treat. I've already prayed for you on screen, and I'm going to break down a very different kind of song. This song is not that Nietzschean. It's very, very Buddhist, specifically, as we've discussed, the mantra of light. And again, so I know my Buddhism, I know my religion, I know my philosophy, I know my Jung. I can give you singing notes. I don't know musical theory as much, but I'll still try to comment on the music at hand, since I think it's also very important. Without further ado, Baiken's theme. Also, I will likely cut out of this video with pre-recorded things as well, just in case something needs to be explained, which I believe they need to be explained further. Either way, let's go! So for the first 40 seconds, it just starts off like just feel it. You just feel like it's about to be a duel between two people. Obviously that might be her duel between her and that man. But now the world comes to light. Light, like the mantra of light. Also, I will be pulling out of this to go to the translation, which CapnBooker has very nicely. So we will do that definitely. Non-madabu. So let's go down. This is basically saying, as we have a Baiken right here, it means, mandabu means basically bow before, means bow to the enlightened Buddha. So already, she is a samurai. Basically, were primarily Zen Buddhist, but they were just Buddhist in general. They were less Shinto, which is Japan's indigenous religion outside the actual indigenous Ainus, which are in their religion Hokkaido and Karafuto. But let's continue. Before I get to the translation, which again we went over the mantra of light, I translated for you in the beginning, but I showed this to a friend of mine who is traditionally Chinese traditionalist in his religion, and he thought this sounded a lot more like a war chant rather than a prayer, which I think is true. I think we see of Baiken that the way she's using the mantra of light and all of her other Buddhist phrases is very, very aggressive, because her channeling her religion is primarily for vengeance, but in the way in which vengeance is taken evolves during the song. So now let's go again to, if you forgot the beginning of the video. Here it says again, praised be the flawless, all-pervasive illumination of the seal of the Buddha. Turn over me to the jewel, lotus, and radiant light. Is popular in funerary prayer in Japanese Buddhism, specifically again Shingon Buddhism, as we talked about with Myoe. And then Naraka Shoujo, chant from the hell and purify your six senses, refers to the six senses in Buddhism and evokes the idea of ridding oneself of worldly obsessions. And if we talk about, of course, what is her worldly obsession? Her worldly obsession is killing that man who she believes is responsible for the death of all Japan, which basically is right. But of course, as we know from the Gravity, that man, or Asuka Kuroitsu, has basically changed and is a chill person now. But nonetheless, she still wants to kill him. So, with all of this in mind, let's think about this first in the idea that she is obsessed with a very specific idea. The idea of killing that man. When we think about this in the notion of basic Buddhism and the way this is interpreted, one can have an obsession, but over time, have that evolve into something that is, well, is separated from this desire. As we get through the song, we realize that her attachment towards the idea of killing that man is transformed into a selfless non-attachment. When we get through the song, we'll get there, but think about this as a virtuoso in the book by Mark Unno, a virtuoso who is obsessed currently at being like the best. But over time, she remembers that she just originally wanted to have a smile on people's faces. So over time, she reintegrates, as we say in Jung, the shadow, the part of the stuff that's been repressed. So there is still some Jung, because of course, Hayao Kawai loves Myoe, as we talked about in the Risei Kujikawa video in relation to, which I thought was Zen Buddhism. It's not actually Zen Buddhism, but basically this is talking about how someone can, over time, reintegrate the real reason they are interested in doing the action. And for this is ultimately also esoteric, because the mantra of light is a more esoteric prayer. And the fact that this is the only song in the game, in Strive, I think in all of Guilty Gear, to be sung in Japanese shows, again, Baiken is, Japanese people are an endangered species. So for most people, a lot of the Westerners, which Daisuke himself said, he made these lyric songs to advertise to the Western audience, is esoteric too. So it's a very esoteric, mystical prayer about being imbued with the light of the Buddha and being purified of sin, because Baiken is done a lot of sin. She's not the most religious person. So she's done a lot of bad things, and she hopes that over time she will be purified of sin by doing her vengeance, or even with her vengeance be purified in the next life. But we'll see if that actually relates to the next life. I'm just butting in here to say that the lyric that you just saw on the screen that takes place right after the Mantra of Light actually translates to, as according to Genius Lyrics, let us sing a song to cleanse our spirits. So as we see, this whole song is a song, again, as Genius says, reinforces the sutra and reinforces the Mantra of Light, but also is dealing with that this whole song is eventually going to cleanse Baiken of her spirits. And so we get to the end, we'll see that is 100% true. Now, with that out of the way, on to the English. And again, with the notion of hell, that she's basically speaking for hell, because what is she saying? Well, let's see. Again, it's very, very, very aggressive, not sounding purely Buddhist, not sounding purity and light, because that's not Baiken. She's very, very tough exterior. So, alright, if that's what you call karma, then maybe Baiken, again, her religiosity is a little waning. But again, all Japan, especially the modern age, as we'll talk about, especially Nagoriyuki, their religiosity is waning. So the fact that she's trying to hold on to her past and her beliefs is commendable in the Japanese eye. But I must be a demon. So obviously, she's likely killed a lot of people, likely got a lot of blood on her hands, and therefore she will be reborn as an asura, or as even a hungry ghost, which means that, as we'll talk about, she won't have a voice and she won't be able to say the sins that has been wreaked upon her, because she will be a demon in the next life. If she actually, again, is going to think she will be reincarnated again, it seems like she actually doesn't necessarily believe in reincarnation, but that basically she has become a demon, or a ghost of her name, as she says later on. That's why she will needs to be purified with this Mantra of Light, which she's constantly chanting and chanting and chanting. But that no voice can be heard by the damned. So basically, that she's saying that she will be put to history, that she will be put to history, and no one will hear her, and she will not be able to hear anyone else. So she in the hells, in the many hells, will be basically doomed. Alright, back to our translation cheat book. Roughly it translates to as, Naraka Shoujo, okay, yeah, no. This is This is chant from hell and purify your six senses. Oh wait, no, this one. When I believe this is referring to the Buddhist concept of the 3,000 worlds, realms. Sanzen no Fujo Shoujo means the 3,000 are unclean, pure. I believe what's saying is approximately everything is meaningless. 3,000 realms are unclean. So basically, as we'll talk about, everyone is ignorant. The 3,000 realms are pure. Basically, this is saying she believes that the world has degraded, as Myoe did, into sin. Because even though Baiken is not religious, she still emulates Myoe in the sense that both of them thought that the world had go into what Myoe referred to as mapo, degeneracy. And as in this reality, Japan is literally extinct, that the world has basically gone into degeneracy. That man's science rule and her tradition has waned. She's seen the death of her family and loved ones. So there is, as we say, no forgiveness. There is no forgiveness for what has happened to the Japanese people. Myoe didn't see himself as ordained by any master. He thought that everyone else was unclean in the sense that that I'm more clean by wiping my behind than you by cleaning your little gold statue. Because fundamentally, the purity is in a grain of sand as opposed to the gold. And I think she understands that the world is unclean. But the fact is that the world is unclean, so why does it even matter? As we see that she has a very negative attitude on the world, as someone who lives her life, of course, would be. Let's go back to the full screen. No forgiveness necessary. In the But she's still saying, I need to chant this mantra of light to keep on going and justify my vengeance. Break off all vexations. I need to stop this worldly attachment to that man and make it a spiritual murder, which is, again, warped and weird, but that's what she's going about. Again, vexations, the different things like the attachments to the body, all these different attachments fundamentally stop someone from achieving nirvana, becoming a bodhisattva, and giving otherworldly compassion. This is a notable idea because I'm the time exile. Myoe's ideas fit nicely with the world as an illusion and the ideas of Zhuangzi, who again believes, we'll talk the butterfly dream, that the world is illusory, just like as if I'm dreaming of a butterfly. Was it me dreaming of the butterfly? Is the butterfly dreaming of me? So that fact that the notion of time itself, I'm going to stop and cut to video. I've talked about Zhuangzi in other places. Again, he thinks that basically the world is an illusion. But let's talk about how that relates to Myoe and his thoughts. So here's a quote from Mark Unno's book again. As striking as are the similarities between the worlds of Zhuangzi and Myoe and the ways in which they employ language and reason, there are significant differences as well. One of the most important differences lies in their respective understandings of the manner in which the world of distinctions and the fluid world beyond are linked. This becomes particularly apparent when we pay attention to the attitudes of Zhuangzi and Myoe toward time and causality. Although their views are complex and require a more extended treatment than I give here, it can be said that both thinkers hold that events in time appear in at least two ways, momentarily and sequentially. In their momentary aspect, events reveal the transiency of phenomena, and this very transiency becomes a portal to the infinite expanse of the Tao, or of emptiness. Concretely, this often finds expression in Myoe's poetry. Just to cite one example, the following is a poem that he composed after his evening meditation upon seeing the moon emerging from behind the clouds. Shingetsu no sumu ni munyo no kumo harete gedatsu no mon ni matsukaze zo fuku. In the clear moonlight of the mind, the clouds of ignorance have dispersed. Through the gate of deliverance blows the wind in the pines. In the Zhuangzi, there are many passages that illustrate the momentary character of time. For example, the Taoist adept Wang Tai is described as someone who accepts the transitory nature of existence against the vast backdrop of the Tao. Someone who takes it as fate that things should change, and holds fast to the source. Thus he is able to regard the loss of a foot as a lump of earth thrown away. In this way, the true person of the Tao knew nothing of loving life, knew nothing of hating death. He emerged from the vastness of heaven without delight. He went back in without a fuss. He came briskly, he went briskly. In terms of the sequential aspect, Myoe tends to emphasize the causal, karmic relationship between events as the nexus of human action. Zhuangzi, in contrast, tends to use sequential time to depict the transformation of things, the unfurling of transitory phenomena, against the impersonal background of the nature and the Tao. Zhuangzi's view is evident in the butterfly episode, where let's skip back here. Contrast this with Myoe's description of the monk's intoxication, quoted earlier. If one inquires into the origin of this intoxicated mind, one sees the monk's mother gave birth to the monk. So basically what's happening is that Zhuangzi sees things as transformation. Myoe views things as fundamentally causal. So Baiken, through Japan being taken away from the world, Baiken was taken out of time. And her constantly having to do things is what is going to fundamentally bring her back into time to stop her from being the exile. All right, back to the video. All right, back. So now let's explain. Yes, basically, time is illusory, but we need to keep on going forward. She's Japanese. She's the ghost of vengeance. She wants to kill that man that badly. Calm madness, or call my name. Actually, I think this is call. I think actually it's call my name. Like, just call my name and I'll be there. Or calm madness. Like, this is the calm madness of her thinking that she's gonna be the one to basically, through her weird religious way of killing that man. But I think it's actually just call my name, in the sense that call my name and I'll be there to kill you. So this actually is also calm madness. So calm madness is just her calm little intuition. It could also be referred to the sense of impurities of the self. Dukkha, the suffering that isn't just suffering in Buddhism. It's just our attachment to form, to samsara, which allows us to basically be constantly in the wheel of rebirth, which nirvana is meant to go beyond. Sever, so no more fear, no more attachments to the world. None of that. No more fear. The mantra of light. She's saying it again. No, but I need to keep on affirming that I will be purified in the next life. Or after I just kill Matt Man, that too. I believe this is actually, there's no salvation either for the unforgiven or the Armageddon. Either way, basically her life is fundamentally doomed. That there's no only Armageddon. There is no life good for her. Let's actually make sure. Let's go to Daisuke's Genius and just make sure what it actually says. Let's go over here. There's no forgiveness necessary. Yep, it's no only Armageddon. And I believe, let's make sure it's just call my name, right? Let's see where that is. Either way, yeah, it's just call my name. I'm glad I had that. But yes, no, there's no salvation, only Armageddon. That's the lyric. So only Armageddon. Basically, the world is already, there's no salvation. Japan's dead. So she is a very, very, she does not really believe in the next life. She's just praying that it might be true, so she's out of this hell. Think about Leo's hellfire. We'll talk about that soon. So this one is There is no salvation for the unforgiven, and this just gives me League of Legends Yasuo vibes, because Baiken and Yasuo have very similar things going on. Out of that tangent, basically Baiken is saying there is no salvation for the unforgiven because she has been unforgiven for all the bad stuff she's done, and she just still generally has a negative mindset. This Armageddon, either way, negative mindset. God knows there's those who would better count that is excellent to them. Let me actually also make sure that the next line. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's there. No, God knows there are those who would better hand the vexations unto them. Yeah. So basically, this is interesting. Like, yeah, I mean, this is an interesting translation, interpretation, saying, oh yeah, Baiken doesn't really pay the hand extended to her. Nonetheless, it's those who better handle the vexations unto them, which is basically saying, she's saying, hey, I'm not that religious, I'm not that good at this, but hey, please just let me find a way out of this. The line actually is about how other people would pay the hand that is extended to them better than Baiken can, and that is definitely a reference to Anji, and how Anji constantly tells her to stop wanting to kill that man, but she keeps on saying no, and this is how she will lead to her purification of sin, but she keeps on refusing until the very end. Wait, let me make sure again also that's... Yeah, so this one... So the first one that we did was about the purify your six senses. So this one is about, well, now we're getting really negative because now all the realms are unclean. So we just talked about that again. We jumped to that, but yeah, again, all the realms are unclean, so what does anything matter? But then we get back to the optimism, the higher note, in the light, that's my way. Like, no, but we keep on affirming ourselves over and over and over and over and over again. I gotta keep on, no, I gotta be not attached to this world. I gotta be a good Buddhist. Today, which will never begin. This song has a lot of Blaze Blue vibes about going to tomorrow, which we talked about with Blue Desire. Like, this song actually sounds the most like a Blaze Blue song out of all of them. Again, with the Japanese, which again reminds you of Must Die and Stand Unrivaled. Both, it sounds like both of those, Jubei's and Susanoo O's theme. But basically, this idea that we have to go tomorrow. No, we have to not even go to tomorrow. We got to go to today. We got to understand, live in today, because Baiken can't live in today, and that's a problem. She's only focused on being the ghost of vengeance, and that's holding her back from truly attaining the truth of the mantra. She's completely not attached, but the problem is she needs to be Japanese and be more attuned to other people. And that's the problem. She's not attuned to other people. She's not in a collectivist mood. She's pretty individualist about her ways. And that's a problem. That blocks her from her compassion. Why won't anyone leave me alone? So now you hear her like, why won't anyone leave me alone? Like, she's completely breaking down. She wants everyone to go away from her, but she fundamentally is like breaking down. But then we'll see that she has that spiritual transformation that finally leads one to breaking down, to finally truly taking enlightenment, to finally having this true, in Zen Buddhism, this Satori movement of instant enlightenment. This koan, this paradoxical moment, will lead her to finally finding this enlightenment. Now to the best riff in the whole in all of Strive. Now we hear now the past comes in. The past emanates to her. And she's like, wow, I need to be connected to that. Inner contemplation, attaining enlightenment slowly, gradually, but Myoe talked about the gradual, fast, normal, and fast speed, and that's what's exactly happening, the paradoxical speed at which the song is going. It's beautiful. Faster now, faster! The best riff in the whole game. Now I feel like my soul is lifting to the air. I have purified myself of sin, and I am free to now truly achieve my goal and truly understand where I come from, because I've taken the past, I brought it to the present, and I'm ready to selflessly do vengeance. hear the lightness, the airiness of the tail. I feel like it's definitely like a major scale, which is beautiful, and it hits why this riff hits so hard. This is now her trying to understand how she can be attached to someone real and actually have a friend. She is a loner outside of Anji, which is, again, iffy. I wonder what I would tell them. Yes, yes, I knew the answer. I knew the answer. Like, before I was warped, I knew what to say to people. Now she has the resolve to keep on going. Firmly affirming the doctrine. That's not your way. You got it. Wait, what? Yeah. Let's go back to the lyrics and make sure. Let's see. Wait, no. Oh, shoot. Out of my way. Okay, it's out of my way. Break off all vexation, out of my way. Basically, we're getting at that they need to get out of my way. It's not saying no, you need to stop being Buddhist. No, this song is not telling Baiken to stop being Buddhist. It is telling her to affirm her Buddhism, very much so. No, we gotta go tomorrow. We're gonna keep on going. Yesterday, no, don't gotta keep on going. My vengeance will be a sacrifice. I'm not doing this no longer for me. I'm doing this for all of my Japanese comrades to go forward and kill this man, even though she's not actually going to kill him, for that sake. And even I will now, my virtue is not for myself, but for this selfless idea, which is beautiful. The pain kill. This is again dealing with suffering. This is the arrow, the idea of the arrow, and that we let the arrow in of suffering, but we don't feel it. We don't allow the poison to come in, which is beautiful. For the light, for the mantra, I will keep on going with this mantra of light. Now I gotta actually live for real. I gotta live. Okay. The mirror of the world, she basically is this idea of the understanding of herself in relationship to society. Society has degenerated, and I will create a better society, because fundamentally, I'm going to cut to me speaking about this in a pre-recorded segment, but fundamentally, before that, I am a mirror of the world means that I will be fundamentally connected to the whole world. In Zen, as part of the Buddha mind, I'm connected. All things share the same thing, but it's different than Maya because everything still has its own suchness, its own essence. But the idea that I am a mirror of the world means that I have become what is society. And before I was degenerate like society, but I, like Myoe, will make a better society and bring us through myself, make a selfless world and bring compassion to the world. And that is beautiful. And then it ends with, and so yeah, cutting off, and now the pre-recorded segment. So here is a quote regarding Mirror of the World, what it actually might mean regarding Myoe. During my early evening meditation, I prayed for the extinction of sins and received the body which maintains the precepts. My body and mind became quiescent in the midst of the samadhi. As it happened in the 6th month, there was a pole made of lapis lazuli hanging from the sky, and I think it was hollow like a tube. I grabbed the end, and someone pulled me up. I maintained my hold and seemed to have reached the Tusita heaven. There was a jewel at the end of the pole. Pure water poured forth, washed my entire body. After that, thought arose in my mind that I would like to see my actual body. My face suddenly became like a bright mirror. My entire body gradually became like one. I felt completely whole, like a bead jewel of quartz. I rolled and moved to another place, and I was waiting for a voice, and someone said, "All the Buddhas have entered. You have now attained purity." Before this, however, I exited the gate of the true wisdom and traversed 52 stages. The mind that arises at the stages of faith in Manjushri himself, the wisdom of the Buddha, is then divided into the next 10 levels, all of which manifest the wisdom of emptiness. The principles of enlightenment and the phenomena of existence are contained within these 10 abiding stages, 11 to 20, which exhaust all dharmas. The production of the fruit of the abiding stages through true wisdom signifies the production of the fruit of Buddhahood. Through the power of Manjushri, the arising of a portion of the initial stage of the abiding in the stages of faith means that Manjushri becomes a disciple of the fruit of the Buddhahood. In other words, this is the mutual correspondence of cause and effect. When the meaning of this is suddenly grasped in the midst of samadhi, cause and effect are simultaneous. This should be contemplated. It is difficult to express in words. So, people, what does that mean? It means that pure understanding, pure feeling of the world is reflected upon the rest of it. When one reaches heaven, they become and feel like a mirror when they purify themselves of sin. Because Baiken now feels purified, doesn't want to go on her path anymore. She is a mirror of the world. And now, time to talk about that in the context of her relationship with Anji. Baiken fundamentally, due to Anji's message, finally lets it in. She is a mirror. She will allow herself to be a mirror of compassion, a diamond body to the world, to be purified and pure. Through accepting loving kindness into herself, she adopts Delilah and gives up her quest to kill that man, because she realizes maybe that man isn't that bad a person, even though she hasn't talked to him. So this fits perfectly with the ideas of women and her accepting her femininity.
Let's give it up. Together.
This emphasis on compassion is very important. Myoe very much valued Kanon, or Guanyin. That is in Persona 4. Risei second persona, again, the connection between this and Myoe, and we talked about Myoe and that one. Yeah, either way. He valued female figures a lot. He had female patrons, he had valued female monks, she valued female figures like Kanon and Vairocana, who very much all demonstrate compassion and lack of worldly desire. So this, as Baiken is, again, female, very important to show her status and how she's, again, very masculine. So let's talk about that, not to, again, take away from women being masculine at all. Women have the right to be everything. But there's still good integration of both the masculine and the feminine in ourselves. So to give you a dream right before he was about to do the Mantra of Light, here it goes. In a dream seen on the night of the 6th day of the 11th month during my early evening meditation, when I wished to perform esoteric practices, again, doing the Mantra of Light, there was a dignified and beautiful lady in a room. She was dressed exquisitely, but she showed no sign of worldly desire. I was in the same place, but I did not feel any affection for her. She was quite fond of me and did not wish to be separated. I ignored her and left. She still showed no sign of worldly desire. The lady was holding a mirror around, which she wrapped some wire. She also had a large sword. Interpretation: the woman was Vairocana. She was no doubt the queen. So what we see here is basically the mirror of the world is a way to show what is society, as we said. It is a way to show love to society. Because Buddhism is all about, as many religions are, loving kindness. But of course, loving kindness comes from here, from Thich Nhat Hanh in Vietnam, and many other people who are establishing that Buddhism is not about killing people. This song should not be about killing people, yet Buddhism was practiced by the samurai, especially Zen Buddhism, not Shingon, but, well, maybe Shingon. Either way, it basically shows that this mirror of the world is her allowing herself to be connected to Delilah and withdraw and purify herself. And I think that is absolutely wonderful. All right, back to the analysis. All right, back. Now it's her just fully affirming her beliefs, and that's beautiful. Yeah, I think that sounds like I'm not the... Let's make sure that's... No, it says I am the ex... No, it says I am the exile. Honestly, it doesn't matter if she's the exile or not, because she's the exile, but she's three booing the exile is going to, as we always say, be outside of the society, be outside the generacy, and be one with the world, and I think that's beautiful. So, this. I am not the exile. I am not the exile, but she's also not the exile in that she's now become one with this world, but also freed herself from the world and exiled herself from the worldly attachments. Either way. Break off all vexation. She's done it. She's not done it for worldly attachment. She's done it for the higher power, the higher purpose. Yeah, she's not the exile anymore. I think it's in I am the exile, but if either way, if it says either, it basically is saying that she is freed herself. Now, you gotta all free yourself too, guys. Come on, if you have a dream, you gotta understand why you did it in the first. You gotta integrate the shadows of your past and go forward and be like, hey, I'm not doing this for my selfish needs. I do this for a higher power. I do this, but also still have the ego. Again, in the Western, Eastern's light, it's different, but it is beautiful. I know I say it's beautiful a lot, but that is the beauty. That is the purity of the world that Myoe speaks of. And I think this song is absolutely brilliant. And I think it really showed him integrating his Japanese heritage. And it's great. All right. Next song that will be broken down will be announced on YouTube community. Either way, this has been David Lee with Flush Wheel, The Game Philosophy. Peace.